Hey everyone, it's Ben Hardy here, and in today's video we have to talk about how dealerships are starting to get really worried about what's happening within the car market. Before we get into this video though, as always, if you want to save time and money the next time you purchase a car, link to my car buying guide in the description down below, and if you want to see more content just like this, then I recommend you subscribe because I post these videos every single day. Let's get into it. So earlier in this month, I made a video talking about how the car market seemed to kind of flatline during the initial portion of the sales month of December because, during the entire course of 2022, we've pretty much seen declines across every single segment within cars, not only in values, but in terms of overall sales volume. And, the end of November, beginning of December seemed to, basically contradict the norm where it seemed like buying demand was starting to come back. And so I made a video saying, hey, it looks like the whole, quote unquote car market collapse has been canceled. But yeah, I was wrong. So after conversing with a bunch of different dealers on this topic and also just looking at the national data as well, it looks like the end of November and the beginning of December, it was just a fluke. Basically, dealers happened to have a really good end of the month and a really good beginning of the month, and now it's slowed down a massive amount. Now, I think that part of that slowdown is due to the fact that people are waiting to see what the Federal Reserve does in terms of their next rate hike and to see where inflation and everything is, like just see where the general state of the economy is going before they purchase a car. So I definitely think that that is somewhat affecting sales. But I also think that the end of November, beginning of December, again, it was just a fluke. It was just, it wasn't what the car market has been doing for the last year. It happened. It was good for dealers. They made a little bit of money, but now they're back to what they've been experiencing over the course of the last year where things are in massive decline and sentiment at dealers is getting very negative. Most dealers right now have a pretty negative outlook on the market. And, I experience this on a daily basis when I go out to film videos. Like a year ago when I went out to film videos at dealers, it was like a party every single time. I mean, I'm over exaggerating a bit, but like people were always in a good mood and like it was just good times. Whereas now when I go into certain dealers, it's like did somebody die? Like seriously, like the atmosphere is so negative. And when I talk to people, they're like, yeah, things have kind of, we're still selling cars, but we're not making as much profit because we just don't have the pricing power anymore. And there's just not as many customers. There's not as many people submitting internet leads to our store. And we're starting to sit on inventory for longer. So it's costing us more. Like everything is just, it's complete 180 from last year. And again, that's what I'm seeing in person. And then when I look at the national data, that's what I'm also seeing, because we're seeing that new car inventories are increasing pretty much across the board. And on top of that, day supply with new cars is also increasing across the board. What day supply is basically they will take what, a brand sold in a prior sales month, and then they'll take the brand's current supply of vehicles and they'll go, okay, well, if they sold this many vehicles last month, then it'll take them this many months to sell what they currently have in inventory. And so if day supply is increasing, that means that buying demand is decreasing. And so it's just bad across the board. And so what I'm starting to really see is a lot more advertising with deals rather than what a dealer has with inventory. And this is, again, a huge shift from last year, because last year dealers were just saying, hey, we have this vehicle, this is what it's priced at, take it or leave it. Whereas now dealers are kind of advertising like, hey, we have a ton of different options and we're willing to work with you. We want to work with you. That is what I'm hearing a lot from dealers. And something that I think is kind of funny is the way that dealers are starting to approach customers is showing their level of desperation, but they're still like wording things in a way that they're not desperate. And so like what I'm seeing personally when I'm going out and searching for cars to buy for the main channel, and what people are telling me that they're seeing as well, is that they'll reach out to a dealer, and last year the dealer might have never gotten back to them. Whereas now people reach out to a dealer and they'll get back to them right away. And that salesperson will just be just constantly on them like, hey, let's do this. Like it can be pretty frustrating. And I've personally experienced this when I've been searching for cars over the last couple of months, especially over the last couple of weeks. It's been absolutely insane. But the thing that I've also noticed is these salespeople are still trying to like do the salespeople stuff they've been doing over the last couple of years, where they're like, oh, yeah, we can't really negotiate on the price, this and that. And it's like, okay, you are literally texting me every single day asking me if I'm ready to buy this vehicle, and I'm telling you where I want to be, and then you're saying, oh, no, we can't do this. It's like, okay, if you really had a demand to sell the car at that price, then you wouldn't be constantly texting me. You'd be like, oh, this guy's stupid. His price offers doesn't make sense. So it's one of those situations where they're basically showing, like, their actions are showing that they're desperate, but then their words are saying something different. And I mean, we all know that's kind of the salesman way, right? So here's the deal. Like I said earlier in the video, day supply is up. Inventory is up. Dealers are now finally paying flooring charges on cars where they haven't really done that for the last couple of years because they were, frankly, sold out. And deals are just not happening in the way that dealers want them. They're making less money per deal on every single front. Dealers are not selling as many accessories, they're not selling as many warranties, and they aren't making as much money on the car itself. Like, dealers are having to discount everything just to put a car deal together, and they're having to throw things out to put a car deal together. And so it's starting to scare them because it isn't really slowing down. It's like every single week, dealers have to negotiate more and more just to put car deals together. It's going back into a market where dealers have to convince customers to buy a car. Like, people go in thinking, you know, I'm just going to look at car. Like, this is what dealers are seeing now. Is people are going in, they're going, maybe I want to buy a car, and then they see the price and they're like, oh no, I can't do it. And then the dealer has to do, you know, basically bend over backwards to convince this person to buy a vehicle. And I know that some people are going to say, no, not in my area. It's like, again, like I said earlier in the video, these dealers are still going to put on, you know, they're going to put on the facade that, oh, everything's fine, but like, just pay attention to their actions. Like, are they letting you leave the dealership? If they're not letting you leave the dealership, that means that, again, they're desperate for a car deal. If they're constantly texting you and emailing you, they're desperate for a car deal. Like, pay attention to their actions rather than their words. So what this really means for you as a consumer is you have a massive amount of negotiating power right now, because first off, you have inventory to choose from. You don't have to just buy from one dealer anymore. Again, that was like the case, you know, for the last couple of years, because if a dealer happened to have a car that you wanted, they probably were the only dealer that had that car. Whereas now, you can go shopping. And this is where I have said this over the course of several videos. Don't just shop in your own area. Look at what cars are going for nationally. And I think you'll be shocked to see the different prices nationally. I mean, I'm not going to say what car it is right now, but there's a particular car that I'm looking at that if I wanted to purchase that car where I live currently, I would have to pay at minimum $5,000 over MSRP, and in most cases, dealers are charging $20,000 to $30,000 over MSRP. Whereas I have found several that are really close to me, just out of state, that are going for MSRP with this particular vehicle. And so the point that I'm trying to make with this example is just be willing to travel a little bit to get a deal. And this applies no matter what's happening within the car market. Don't be that lazy person that won't go out of like a 25-mile radius of where they live to purchase a car because they just don't want to deal with the hassle. And again, you have tons of negotiating power. Like, just because the dealership tells you no, no doesn't mean no. If you really want to buy that particular car at that dealership, just keep pushing and don't put yourself in a situation where you like feel like you have to say yes. Put yourself in a situation where you are only going to say yes once what you want happens within the deal. So set your price and be firm on your price. And when the dealer tells you no, you tell them no, right? The dealer goes, oh, no, we can't do that. We can only do this amount. No. Okay, we can only do this amount. No. Just keep telling them no until you get to your price. And if, you know, maybe your price is completely unreasonable, and I think that if you go to enough dealers, you'll probably figure out if it's unreasonable. But if it's not unreasonable, the dealer will eventually want to put that car deal together because they have inventory now. They don't want to sit on cars anymore. The market has changed. It is now, like I've said over the course of, you know, several videos, I feel like over the last few months, it's a buyer's market now. There was, again, a little bit of a weird thing happening at the end of November and the beginning of December where I thought that it might shift back over to a seller's market, but that's just not the reality that we're in. Now that's pretty much going to sum things up for our update on dealers, and well, they're in the same boat as all of you. They just have a really negative viewpoint on the overall market and everything that's happening. They see the doom and gloom like what you guys see, and so yeah, it'll just be interesting to see what happens and how dealers navigate this whole situation. Like I've said in prior videos, I do foresee some dealers going out of business, not new car franchises, but, you know, potentially some used car lots, or, you know, maybe some like, you know, ma and pa new car franchises where it's just one location. We could potentially see some of those go under if they have enough demand destruction within their, you know, typically those are in smaller markets. And so, yeah, we'll just have to see as things progress, but that's going to sum things up. Let me know what you guys think about this whole situation. I'll see you.